Hello all, welcome back to SewGrannySew. We are picking up today with our panel quilts we made prior to Christmas. So we got as far as cutting our strips from the panel and sewing 2.5 inch strips of I put a plain blue with mine according to what panel you're going to use and what color you would want to use. Put a 4-inch strip along the top and bottom and finish off the sides as well with a 2.5 inch strip. So I want to make a corner. I was going to do 2 accent corners. However, I went ahead and started doing some squares to make my corners. And I did 4 just in case we end up using them. So we're going to go ahead and set this stuff aside. I will link the first video, part 1 to this series, in the description. So if you haven't seen that yet, you can go back and check that one out. So we're going to go ahead and work on the corners to the panel quilt. We will be making these blocks. So all I have here is I have a green pine cone with an ivory background, a solid green, and a solid light blue, as we have already put in the panel. And the greens will just help pull out the trees in the back of the pickup that's in that panel. So we're going to do 2 accent corners for sure, possibly 4. But the first thing we're going to do is get these are 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch squares. And we're just going to take, guess I got 2 of them there. And we're just going to take the lighter color one. We're going to draw a diagonal line there. So after we get that line drawn on, we're going to go ahead and pin the 2 solid colored ones together. And I like to put a pin on both sides of the line just to hold it nice and steady while we're sewing so it doesn't slide around. And we're just going to go ahead and stitch right down that center line. So I'll go ahead and get that done and then I'll meet you back here. Okay, once we have that stitched together, we're just going to take our ruler, line up your 1/4 inch mark on your ruler with that line that you just sewed on there, that seam. And we're just going to cut that off, half and half, blue and green. And we'll go ahead and iron that flat. So now that we have that iron flat, we're going to do like that. We are going to put that one on the top of that. And we're going to go ahead and sew that diagonal line again. If you'd like, once again, we can draw that line on there just so you know where you're sewing. Pin that into place. And once again, we're just going to sew a straight line right down that line that we drew. And I'll get that done and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so we have that one sewn together. Now I got to make sure we got the right way here. Like this. So we're going to go ahead and line up our ruler again with the 1/4 inch mark. We're going to cut that off and we'll iron that open. So it will look just like that. So we need a total of, well, I'm using a total of, you can do whatever you'd like on yours, but I'm using a total of 8 on each corner. So when we lay them out, we're going to use the ribbon effect. But it's kind of hard when you're going around the corner to get that effect of the ribbon. Because we are kind of breaking that up a little bit by going around the corner with it. But that's okay. I just still want that same style. So I'm just going to put mine like that. So the thing is you always want like the darker color that matches your ribbon. The blue is our background because we have already used that in the stripes on the quilt. So we want to keep the blue as the background. So we're using the green and the pine cone. So it's kind of like a folded ribbon. However, when you go around that corner, of course, it's going to mess that up a little bit. But that's okay. So what I need to do at this point, we're going to have it like that. And then we have a 2.5-inch strip of the blue as well. That will get connected in between these to go down the length of the quilt, both, on all the sides. So we need to go ahead and in order to put it all together, we're going to have to sew these in one continuous piece, and then these will be in their own continuous piece. So all we're going to do is we're going to flip that over, throw a quick pin in there that says what side we're going to sew it on. If there's any that line up where you need to match seams, you do want to be on the lookout for that. Then we'll flip that one over. Okay, so then you're just going to bring that to the sewing machine and take a 1/4-inch seam on both of those. We'll come back, iron those open, and then add the two sections together in the same fashion. So I'm going to go ahead and get this piece done all the way through, and then I'll bring it back, and we will start working on this other piece. Okay, so we got this first part done, and then, let's see, it looks like that. So then we're going to go ahead and we're going to join these two pieces together. Now, you got seams to line up here, so we do want to make sure that we are lining up those seams. So you got this connection there and that connection there. So you want to make sure that them are nice and lined up. And then the same with that corner there. Go ahead and put a pin in that. And bring that to the sewing machine. We'll put a 1/4-inch seam on that. Okay, so this side is all sewn together. The reason I went with 4 and then 3 till 7 on each corner is because then no matter which corner you're putting it on, it's always going to line up the same. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and sew up all my other pieces. So I need 4 of these, and just in case we use all 4 of these, and then 4 with these 3 pieces put together. So I'm going to go ahead and get all those put together, and I will meet you back here, and we'll start putting on the blue strips and getting them attached to the panel. Have all 4 of our corners done there, just in case we're going to use the 4. Now our next step would be to get the panel back out. We need to measure that up and down on both the left and right side, and then the top and bottom, to see how much more of the blue 2.5-inch strip we're going to need on each side to put these corners into place. So I went ahead and I have all my 2.5-inch by width of fabric blue strips cut out as well for the background. So I was going to measure this out, and then I got to thinking, well, if you're using a different fabric panel, yours is going to be different size anyways. So I'm just going to show you this way without the measurements, because I think it would be more useful to you. I did have a comment at the end of the last video on the series about at the end it was confusing for them. And I just want to note that at the end of that video, I was just going over how I'm going to put these accent corners on. So I wanted this solid blue strip on both the left and right sides and top and bottom when we have those on. And then we're just going to put, an accent corner like this, and then we're going to put another blue stripe on the outside, so it'll look like the corners are actually floating on the outside of the quilt panel itself. So we're going to go ahead and I'll start with, let me see, I think the length, the top to bottom, is shorter than the width. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the width of it on this one. We're going to go ahead and lay down our 4-piece corner, and we want this seam right here, this final seam, to line up about a 1/4 inch down from the top of that, because that will be in the seam. And then we need to measure down the rest of the side to see how long it is before we'll need to put that other one on, because we will need a blue strip cut, the background color, cut to be that length, so we'll go ahead and get that measured. Now we do want to measure a 1/4 inch up because as I said with the other end, we will have a seam allowance on that when we sew this to the blue strip. Okay, so if we were just going to do 2 corners, so it would be blue at the end, at this far end, it would be 44. But because we are putting another corner on here, we'll go ahead and grab a 4-piece here and put that down a 1/4 inch over the end. And we are at about 36.5. So we know on both sides, or both the top and the bottom, that we're going to need a piece of blue that's 36.5 inches. So I am going to run a quick iron over these because as you can see, they're really wrinkled. And then we're going to come back and we're going to start sewing our corner strips to that. So go ahead and get those ironed up and I will meet you back here. So we now have 2 of our the 2 strips ironed flat. So we're going to lay it out so we can make sure we got it turned the right way. So it goes on like this. So we are working with the 4 right now. We want to make sure it's going in the right direction. So this one will be at this end here. And then this one here will go in the corner. So we're going to flip that over on that. Pin that into place. Pin down, then you're going to take a 1/4 inch seam along there. So I'll get that done. I'll iron it open and I'll meet you back here. So we got the first edge on. So our other piece here will go like this, as I said, with another blue strip attached there. But at the time being, we're just going to work on the left and right, or I guess it's the top and bottom of the panel. So we're going to go ahead and set these 2 pieces like this aside. And on this one here, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing, both from the top and the bottom. So we will need one on this side as well. So we'll go ahead and flip that down. Get that lined up, pin that into place, and we'll sew it on and iron it open just like we did on this one. We have both edges done now for the top and the bottom of the panel. So we're just going to put that aside. So now that we have that sewed on, we're going to take our panel back out. Whoop. And that was for the top and the bottom, so we're going to turn it this way. We're going to line that up. And we'll start pinning that on all the way along. So I'll get that pinned on and I will bring you back to show you what we're going to do at the other end. Okay, so once we get that pinned on quite far, then we have to allow room for this last corner to go on this side. So once again, we are going to grab one of our that have 4 pieces on it. There's a piece with 3 and a piece with 4 for each corner. So we're going to grab that. We're going to line that up so we can see where exactly we need to cut this off to sew that together. We are going to need an extra 1/4 inch on there for the seam. So I'm going to take my little ruler here. Get that 1/4 inch lined up with the end of that. Make sure I good and lined up with the end. And then we're going to take this, and we know that this has to go to this 1/4 inch line because the 1/4 inch on both of these pieces will be in the seam. So once we get that lined up and see where the end of that is, we're going to go ahead and lay that ruler on, and we're going to mark at a 1/4 inch mark on each side of this. And we'll just grab our scissors and cut that off. And then I'm just going to leave mine pinned on. If you want, you could unpin it and so forth. So we are just going to go ahead and line that up, right sides facing together. Remember, this one's on upside down right now. So we're going to put the right sides facing together. Pin that into place. We'll bring it to the sewing machine and take a 1/4 inch seam along there, and then we'll come back and we'll finish pinning that on. So now that we got that sewn together, and I did go ahead and iron that flat, we're going to go ahead and we're going to lay that out, and we're going to finish pinning that on. Okay, once we got it all pinned on, we're going to go ahead and bring that to the sewing machine, and we will now take a 1/4 inch seam all the way along that side, bring it to the ironing station, iron that open, then we'll flip it around and do the other way, but I'll bring you back and show you what this looks like before I do the other side. So I'll get this done and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so we have that all put on there now and ironed open, so you can see what it looks like in the corners, and we have just this one side done. So now we're going to do the same steps, the same pieces, and that was on the top. So now we're going to do that same thing to the bottom edge with our other piece that we have started. As I was sewing this, I realized I should have put the rows of 3 squares on here instead of 4, because I wanted the 4th one to be the corner one, going in both directions, so it would have been right here. But I did put this on here, and I think that looks quite all right. For this is the top, and it'll be shorter on the sides. The same with the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to utilize it like that. If it was something more drastic, I would go ahead and take it apart. But then our thing doesn't line up on the corner, which it wasn't totally lining up anyway. So I'm okay with that. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing like we did with these pieces. The top and the bottom. We're going to go ahead and take another one of our blue strips, and we're going to prep it just like we did for the top and bottom. We're going to go ahead and put that one side on there, and then we'll pin that in place. And we do need 2 strips, just like we did with the top and bottom. We'll need the 2 sides. So now that we got them both pinned on, we're going to go ahead and take them to the sewing machine and put our 1/4 inch seam on those. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same exact thing we did on the top and bottom to the sides. So I'll get that done. I'll get it ironed flat, and I'll meet you back here. I have the corners all put on all 4 corners. I'm going to give you a little bit closer view of this. So this is what I'm talking about. However, like I said, I put these on incorrectly. So there should have been one more down here and one less here. But that's okay. It still looks good. We are measuring right now 53 width and 54 length. It's getting pretty good size. I don't know if I want to make it much bigger. I do want to put on one more row of just a solid blue so the corners do look like they're floating in there. And then also when I bind it, it won't cover up part of those corners. So I did want to show you a couple other things here. Things that have really helped me out with sewing that I currently just ordered in this. As you can see, I only have this little spool, and it sits sideways on my sewing machine. Great for the little spools of thread, but not so good for the big cones. So this is really inexpensive. I think it was like $10 on Amazon. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the link down below for you. And then, of course, I posted some thread on one of the videos, but they got all kinds of different thread in there that are some pretty good deals. I'll post those links in the description as well. So let me know in the comments below, guys, what you guys think of this. I'm going to end part 2 with this. Part 3 will be posted sooner or later, I'm going to say at this point. I do have to order in some more cotton poly batting. I'm getting down there on the poly, and I have a couple quilts I'm working on that I need the rest of my cotton poly. So I will have to order in some more so we can get that quilted sandwich together and quilted in. So as always, guys, if you found this video useful, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. It really helps our channel grow. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because we'd love to have you here at SewGrannySew. Thanks all. Have a good day. Bye.